Water is probably the safest natural substance on the planet. Every living being needs it to survive, but at times even water can behave in unfathomable ways and make people want to avoid it at all costs, especially if it's in massive amounts. It is undoubtedly a powerful element that can swallow massive buildings if there's enough of it. In today's video, we'll tell you all about some of the most mysterious and downright dangerous water phenomena, so make sure to watch till the end and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Tinkling Tree. Someone recorded a video of this mulberry tree taking a leak, or it seems like it at least. Also known as the gushing water tree, it is located in the Donosa village of Montenegro. The remarkable shrub is now considered a local landmark. It went viral because of its waterfall impersonation. It may seem like a self-watering plant with an endless water supply, but reality is slightly different. The entire village gets water from a natural spring, and the area contains several freshwater streams running above and below the ground. During heavy rain season or in the summer when the snow melted, the water level rises. The spring begins to overflow and water seeps into the channel that runs underneath the spectacular tree. Its trunk is hollow, and the increased pressure from the spring in turn causes the water level to rise inside the tree and fill the trunk, and when the water exceeds the tree's capacity, it bursts out from a hole in the trunk. Dangerous waters. These sharp shards of ice covering small ponds around the globe look like they are intricately designed by an artist. The unusual geometric patterns only form in ice under specific conditions. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, however, to form ice the molecules need to arrange themselves around impurities so that they can crystallize. But in the presence of fewer impurities and absence of the wind to manipulate the structure of these molecules, huge ice grains start forming when temperatures drop below freezing point. The freezing patterns expand slowly and approach others. This shapes the ice grains into these unique jagged patterns. This may look breathtaking when it's stationary, but watching a sea of sharp shards move with the waves is pretty frightening. These pointy shards can be seen in Lake Sildir of Turkey. It forms when temperatures start rising in summer. The frozen surface layer softens and melts. Some pieces melt completely, but others just snap in numerous shards that are stacked on top of each other by the water. They slide onto the shore and provide this mesmerizing view to the onlookers. Scientific slushy. We all love slushies when we get to the movies, but if you want to see entire lakes filled with slushies, you should visit Canada. The massive amounts of slushy forms in saltwater lakes. Salt tends to lower the freezing point of water, which means saltwater drops to unbelievably low temperatures before it freezes. So before entirely freezing, saltwater will freeze partially, and the harsh weather conditions turn it into a slushy-like substance. Subsequently, the lake either completely freezes or melts back to liquid. H2O. The water in this footage may look like it's frozen, but in reality it's running water. The clip is filmed by a Redditor and depicts what we call the Laminar Flow. When we turn on a faucet, the water coming out travels a turbulent path as all water is moving in slightly different directions. Because the water flows in different angles, the particles crash into each other and make the liquid look frothy. But when a fluid travels in a smooth, straight, streamlined path, it forms laminar flow. In this type of flow, all the liquid is coming out at a constant rate and is moving in the same direction. The uniform speed and path eradicate any turbulence, and any movement cannot be practically visualized. This is mostly seen when a liquid moves through a smooth and symmetrical hole. Space-age surfing. This night swim became subject to several conspiracy theories when beachgoers realized the seawater was glowing in the dark. It looks like a scene from a sci-fi film. The video is from a beach in Los Angeles, California. These strange colors in the ocean were first noticed in 2020, but it's nothing new. There are several bioluminescent beaches around the world. Oceans turn bright blue in these places when a boat, person, or wave disturbs the water. However, the reason behind these phenomena are blooms of microscopic organisms called plankton. These creatures use bioluminescence as a defense mechanism. It makes them light up whenever they're disturbed or threatened. The ocean waves are full of these plankton that actually glow when the surfers carve past them. Big bubble baths. The high amount of salts, pollutants, and bacteria in the seawater make it undrinkable for humans, but these components also contribute to the freaky phenomenon called seafoam. Seafoam forms along the shores where the water is exceptionally polluted. It mostly forms when huge algae blooms decay offshore. The decaying algae mixes into the seawater, and when the winds and waves churn the mixture, the foam is formed. It usually forms in negligible, harmless quantities, but in case of extreme weather conditions like a storm, the polluted water gets churned a little too much. This creates huge amounts of seafoam that can cover beachfront buildings. One such beachfront disaster happened in Punta del Este, Uruguay. The entire city was mauled by massive amounts of seafoam. This was produced by the incredibly fast winds of the Yucatan cyclone in 2022. Another example is Tossa de Mar in Spain, where the entire twin was flooded with foam in 2020. Water spout. Water spouts in nature are pretty scary as depicted by this footage. This water spout is a sort of giant vortex that forms over a water body and spins around like a huge watery tornado. The vortex is actually a column of cloud filled with wind that lifts up ocean water while rotating rapidly. Water spouts are of two types, tornadic and fair weather. The tornadic spouts form when a tornado from dry land travels into the ocean or if a tornado forms over the water. This is a dangerous formation and is often accompanied with high-speed winds, hail and lightning. Fair weather spouts are, however, more frequent. They are less dangerous spouts that occur during calm weather. Fair weather spouts mostly form in tropical climates as the ocean water evaporates into humid air and it rises into the sky. This in turn forms clouds over the ocean. The rising air continues to flow, meanwhile creating an incredibly strong updraft, and if any rotating winds are flowing through the area, they get wrapped around the updraft and create a vortex. These spouts mostly last around 10 minutes. Brine of its own. In the depths of the ocean you may witness something that looks like an icicle, but it's actually a brinical. Brinical or brinicals are hollow icicles that form underwater. These may look harmless, but they're pretty dangerous. Brinicals tend to grow down and hit the seabed, and when they do this, surrounding water and the earth will flash freeze. This means all the living creatures in the vicinity are killed by an explosion of ice. This unsettling phenomenon can also be attributed to salt that lowers the freezing point of water. When temperatures plummet to extremes, the surface water freezes and pushes salts and impurities downwards into the liquid water. This creates a layer of extra salty fluid, which lies directly underneath the ice sheet. The freezing point of this super salty water is even lower than normal salt water, so it's much colder. It's also denser. The weight of this water thereby causes it to sink in the form of a downward stream. These properties are what cause brinicals to form. The extra salty stream sinks to the ocean floor, and it's so cold that the surrounding water flash freezes and forms a glowing tube of ice around it. Wavy waves. Cross-sea or square waves are rare phenomena in which the waves seemingly move across each other. This forms a continuously advancing water grid on the ocean's surface. Although square waves have been seen all around the globe, they only form when two distinct wave systems moving in different directions collide. This can happen when a powerful wind pushes one set of waves in one direction, while an ocean swell pushes a different set of waves in another direction. The point at which these two sets of waves meet is called a cross-sea. These waves are extremely dangerous, and it's impossible to escape if you get caught in them. Mind-blowing bubbles. Bubbles in the air are a playful sight we all enjoy, but underwater bubbles behave extraordinarily. In this footage you can see a vortex ring, which is a fast spinning bubble having a ring shape. Vortex rings can form for a number of reasons. One reason is the water pressure. When a huge bubble of air is released underwater, it begins floating upwards as bubbles are filled with gas, which is lighter than water and tends to rise up. The water below the bubble starts pushing upwards with the force concentrated to the center. In deep water, the bubble is affected by pressure in two different directions. As it rises, the pressure will push down on the bubble and try to push it towards the seabed. When the bubble is big enough, the simultaneously acting forces will make the bottom of the bubble rise faster than the top. This causes the two separate forces to meet, and the sphere circles around them as it assumes a fast spinning ring shape. Beluga whales can also create bubble rings, just for fun. Antisocial aqua. Sometimes water refuses to go with the flow. This phenomenon is called convergence, and it happens when two water bodies meet but do not mix with each other, thereby forming a visible barrier between the two. The one you see in the video is the Fraser River plume, and it happens when the Fraser River flows into the salt-rich water of Georgia Strait. The two waters look visibly different. The reason behind this convergence is the high sediment levels in the river water, which contains much more dirt than the waters of the Salish Sea. This difference of sediment levels prevents the water from mixing. Convergence has been observed between two oceans too, for instance at the meeting point of the Baltic Sea and North Sea at Skagen, Denmark. The ocean waves crash together, but don't mix. This happens because the North Sea waters are much saltier and therefore denser than that of the Baltic Sea. This difference in density prevents two oceans from mixing. Multicolored Lakes. The vibrant lagoon you see is part of Lake McDonnell. This is a bright pink salt lake located in southern Australia. Lake McDonnell consists of three separate lakes, namely the Green Lake, Blue Lake and Pink Lake. The Pink Lake is obviously the most important of the trio. The spectacular colour of this lake is caused by a salt-loving algae, Dunaliella salina, and a bacteria called halobacteria. Both the microorganisms live in the salty water of the lake and secrete natural pink pigments when they move. This pigment slowly colours the water. Another colourful water body that terrifies tourists is located in Hormuz Island, Iran. The beaches and semi-evaporated salt plains of the island are surrounded by blood-coloured water throughout the year. The crimson colour of the water isn't actually because of blood, though. The coastal soil of this island is called gelac. It is a substance enriched with a mineral called ferrous oxide. The red pigmentation of the ferrous oxide stains the beach soil and water around the island. Whirlpools. Whirlpools are frightening twisters that form because of rotating currents of water that occur because of suction or opposing currents. This leads to the formation of a distinct vortex that channels down anything and anyone in the path of those currents. From the suction in your unplugged bath or pool to the Mostraumen, a colossal system of whirlpools off the Norwegian coast that can grow up to 160 feet in width. It spins with an incredible force and can drag huge objects to the bottom of the ocean. A couple from Oregon was driving home in 2022 when they saw a whirlpool in a lake beside the road. They pulled over to get a closer look and threw stuff in it to assess how strong its currents were, but they found something even more astounding. Apparently, the whirlpool was a portal that was transporting anything thrown into it to another water body on the other side of the road. And no, it wasn't magic or witchcraft. Instead, the whirlpool was caused by two huge culverts, massive pipes that were sucking the debris and water to the other side of the road to prevent flooding. Another astonishing whirlpool was seen in a village called Dvieta in Latvia, where a monstrous whirlpool formed a river. It consumed everything around it, including logs, concrete, and huge chunks of ice. However, like the one in Oregon, this whirlpool also formed because of a pipe at the river bottom sucking the water and debris inside it. That was all about the most terrifying water phenomena around the globe. Tell us which one you found most intriguing in the comments. We'll be back soon with another amazing video. Until then, have a great time and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.